What's up, everyone? I'm back at the desk to do another video here today, and I'm actually going to write today. You're actually going to see me put some ink on the paper and have something a little bit different for you today. So instead of me just talking or me just writing and talking while I write, I'm actually took some video clips and did some voiceover, and I went through an entire session of me working on the upper loop on the L form, the lowercase L. So it goes through my, how I would spend a couple hours, an hour and a half working on this form, and it goes through the whole process. And I hope you find it interesting. So let's jump right into it. All right, we're going to start by drawing this letter. That's always a great place to start when you're trying to figure a form out. And what I've done here is I have the Zahner book, Arm Movement Writing, out pretty much the same as the arm movement method of rapid writing, which you will find on archive.org. And it's a beautiful exemplar to work with, very simple letters. What I'm doing here is drawing the main slant and the connective slant. So I measured those main slants, which are about 60 degrees, and the connective slant, which is around 32 degrees. So a much more upright script than some of the other business hands and Spencerian and things like that. But I've just putting these connective slants down with the main slant. You can see I have that entry stroke connective slant, our main slant, and now I'm putting down the exit stroke connective slant. So just kind of forming a skeleton of the letter like you've seen me do in previous videos, and now I'm actually drawing, kind of sketching that letter, that loop around these slant lines. So this is a great way to just get that form really ingrained in your mind, so you can better execute it and know it and repeat it. So get your pencils out, get your eraser out, get your protractor out, do the work, learn the forms. You can really never spend enough time studying these forms, and this is probably the best way to do it. Alright, I am here in an interesting program that I've picked up lately. Maybe you've seen me post about this on Instagram, but this is a open source software called Tracker, which can actually track moving objects in a video. And what I've done is I've set this up to track my pen point, and still not really sure how useful this technology is in learning letter forms, but at the end of the day, I'm kind of willing to try just about anything to gain a better understanding of the letter forms. And I'm having such a hard time with these upper loops that I figured I might as well make some videos, do a little tracking of the pen point, and see if there's anything I can learn from it. Now, all that said, I'm not really sure I've learned too much. So what we're looking at here, if I play the video, you can actually see these red marks kind of follow the pen point. If I step through it slowly, it's a lot easier to see. Just kind of tracking the pen point as it goes through, and it gives you this nice data in a plot, in a chart, in a graph that you can kind of look at and interpret. So I mean, useful things. It kind of tells you exactly how long it takes you to make the letter. So you can, if I look at this x-axis here, it's about 1 second to make the entire letter. This letter is 3/8 of an inch tall, and we can see kind of just this is time versus the position of the pen point, like the magnitude of the pen point. So it's kind of like the distance from where the pen point started in the video. So it's just tracking how far away I'm moving away from that. And you can kind of see the curves that I'm making. If I go to here, you can see there's a little skip in my letter here on this turn, and there's also kind of a little kink in our graph here as well. So you can identify little things like that that you might not see. You might not see a little kink in your motion. That's a really small kink in the motion, a little hiccup that you probably won't see unless you really zoomed in slow motion. And even then you might not notice it. So there are little things here. I can also compare this to a video of me tracing the letter, which I did, and I can just see here that the motion is much smoother when I'm tracing the letter. Now, I don't know exactly what path my pen point followed when I did that, but even the graph looks a lot smoother. And I also noticed that I spent a lot more time in the letter. So this is 1.6 seconds to trace this same size letter compared to the inked letter as well. So like I said, not exactly sure how helpful that is, but I think the main message here is to try things. Maybe you're able to use software like this. Maybe you have some other skills or talents that you can use other tools to learn more about these letters, and I encourage you to do whatever you can to understand them as completely as possible. Alright, I have a pen and some paper out, and we're going to do some drills and work this form, and it obviously starts with a little warm-up, and with this, the L form is a really a perfect combination between the direct oval and the push-pull. So I'm starting here with the direct oval, and then you see me move here into the push-pull warm-up. So that's really what we're going to be doing when we make this form, is combining these two movements. So warming up with these really basic warm-up drills is the way to go when we start working on this form. Alright, now I'm moving into really just a simplified version of those running drills into just a stationary push-pull and stationary direct oval. And this just brings a little more accuracy into it, because you can really see what you're doing with the strokes when you're not doing the running version of them. So you can really see if you're hitting slants and hitting your baseline, your top line. So it's kind of the logical next drill to run after the running ones. And then this is a good drill here just to start with an oval, direct oval, and kind of move into more separated loops until you get to actual individual loops that you're making. So this just kind of shows you can go from that oval motion into a L-like movement. And after I do that, I'm going to do some I drills. So practicing the lowercase I makes a ton of sense when you're working on the L form, because it really is the foundation of this letter. Every L starts with a perfect I entry stroke and then ends with a perfect I exit stroke. So it's just makes a lot of sense to warm up with doing some I's and getting that feeling back. Now after I did some I's at kind of a normal height, like a 1/8 inch height, I do these progressive I's. This is something I was playing with while I was just warming up, where I'm making them taller and taller. So I'm kind of doing like a regular I, a taller I, then like a T, and then I really start to go into my L loop. And I'm just kind of building up to that L motion, just feeling what it's like to go up a little higher and a little bit higher. And it's just kind of a progressive way to get to feel the feelings that you need to feel to make this letter without trying to do it all in one go. And then this is something that I do. It doesn't look too pretty, but this is something I do a lot when I'm practicing, is I just kind of feel, I call it feeling around the letter. And I'm just like, I'm kind of making the forms, and I'm retracing in different spots, just trying to figure out what it feels like to make quality movements around in the different parts of the letter. Because when you try to make the whole letter at once, it can just be really hard. You're so focused on form and trying to hit the form that you don't actually get to feel what it's like to be in the right spots of the different letters. Anyway, this is a drill that I've been working on a little bit too, where I make a row or a group of I's, and then I do L's on top of it. And this just, I think this helps a lot with spacing, because it's so much easier to space those I's out than L's out. So if you do those as like a template, then you can do your I's on top and get quality spacing. Now I'm just doing some upper loop stems. So this is basically the first part of your lowercase h. And this is a great drill to work on, a great form to work on, because it's a lot easier than making a complete L. And then after I do those upper loop stems, I'm actually moving into groups of 3 L's, which is really a great next step for this as well, because it's very rhythmic doing 3 in a group. And it's kind of easy. It's just, for some reason, it's easier to get into that flow of the letter when you're doing 3 in a row. You don't have to, it's just not that isolated, quick start and stop. You kind of have time to feel the rhythm of the letters and the different rhythmic points of the letters, the tops and the bottoms. And I'm making 3 here, and I'm also analyzing. This is really early on in my practice session. I'm actually looking and seeing, like, all right, what am I already seeing with this form that I'm not doing right? And I'm already seeing that my slant is way too slanted for this script. We're at a 60-degree slant for this Zehner L, and I'm already kind of just recognizing that and trying to feel what it's like to make the letter at a proper slant, at the slant, my target slant, which is 60 degrees. And this is another great drill here. So this is like a progressive diminishing L. So you just make groups of L's that get smaller and smaller. And this is great because when you do them at a full size or even bigger than full size, you have a lot of room and a lot of freedom in that letter to make it. And it's easier to be free with it, but it's also you're not really training your control or toning down the freedom of the letter that you need to do to really make it accurately when writing. So this just kind of is a progressive way to go from that bigger, more free L into the smaller, more controlled L. Now I'm just combining a lowercase I with a lowercase L, and really just moving into more complex movements here. So I've kind of been doing groups of L's, which is a little easier than when you start having 2 different forms together. That's a more complicated movement. It's a more complicated combination of movements, and it just requires more skill and practice to master something like this. And this is obviously the direction we want to go in. We want to go towards really basic fundamentals of the form into then combining it with letters and eventually making whole words and writing sentences and all that. So this is kind of you kind of see the arc of my practice here, where I go from the basics and the actual fundamental forms, the direct oval and the push pull, and then into like kind of broken up parts of the letter, and then eventually into the whole letter form, and then combining that letter form with other letter forms. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that video. Like I said, something a little different. I took a little more time to put that video together than I normally do. Not sure how often I'll have the time to do that, but if you guys like it, maybe it's something that will encourage me to put that little bit extra time in there. Hopefully the audio is good. I don't know really much about any of this stuff. I know I can do it, but I know that I can't do it all that great. But it's there and it's done and it's out. Hopefully you found the content valuable, and we can work on the production value as we go. But yeah, you saw it from me drawing the letter, doing my little velocity analysis and data analysis of the letter, and then into just actually working with ink and a pen and practicing the form and kind of progressing through that practice. So hopefully you found that interesting. Please let me know what you thought in the comment section. I would very much appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love to have you as a subscriber so you get notifications every time I post something new. And if you like the video, please give it a like. That helps a lot. Give it a thumbs up. Love to see that as well. So I'm going to end it there. If you want to find me online, you can go to perfectbiscuits.com, Perfect Biscuits on Instagram. Connect with me on there on Instagram, contact me, send me an email, send me a letter. I love to get letters. You can get my address on my website there, perfectbiscuits.com. So we will talk to you soon. Thanks.